Hello, and welcome to the Quilter on Fire podcast, where I explore the stories of teachers, speakers, artists, and everyday quilters to share their tips, tricks, adventures, and day to day life that'll bring you more joy and less overwhelm in the quilting studio. I'm your host, Brandy Maslowski, also known as the Quilter on Fire, and I can't wait to share this week's episode with you. So here we go. Allison Aller has been stitching, sewing, knitting, and writing since she was a child, and that child is alive and well in the joyful work she creates today, from crazy quilting to stained glass quilting and so much more. She's been quilting nonstop for over 4 decades, exploring bed quilts, broderie purse, stained glass, crazy quilting, landscapes, and more. She dove deep into a decade-long passion for crazy quilts and wrote her first 2 books on the topic, and more recently did the same deep dive and wrote a book on stained glass quilting. Allison has been a featured quilter in dozens of magazines and on the Quilt Show with Ricky Timms and Alex Anderson. And she is a multiple award-winning quilter at big shows like the American Quilters Society Show in Nashville and the International Quilt Festival in Houston. Allison Aller, welcome to the show.
Oh, Brandy, thank you for that nice introduction and thanks for having me.
I'm so excited to get into these topics. So, can you start by telling us a little bit about your quilting story? What inspired you to make your first quilt?
Okay, well, my very first quilt was a wedding quilt for my older brother getting married. I was 17, I knew nothing. And so I went to the Army surplus store and bought 25 blue bandanas and 25 red bandanas, 2 Army blankets, and then I used an old sheet from home and I put all that together for my first quilt that weighed about 50 pounds.
Now, Allison, you are an award winning quilter. So, what was it like to win your very first award for a quilt? How did it
Oh,
feel?
it was such a thrill. It was for Summer Lake Day, which was my first big committed crazy quilt. It took me a year, and it was of a subject that is very dear to my heart, like Michigan, and entered it in AQS. They had a crazy quilt category, which they don't often, and there it was, and I felt so validated. I
Yeah.
just did. Like I had worked really, really hard and did my very, very best. And people appreciated that and gave me an award. It was very thrilling.
Did you like this trailer? Click on the link in the description below to listen to the full podcast.